Hey everybody, I'm going to do three different stories. I'm going to do a series of them, and these are uh, based on the real life possessions of certain dolls. This one's the real Annabelle. Then I'm also going to do one on Robert, and then finally Okiku. Now I'm limited to 10 minutes, so I really have to redo this video and keep it short rather than go into all the detail because I'm very detail oriented. So my story seems a little cut up. Sorry. I don't. If you can believe whatever you want, that's fine. I respect that. Please be respectful in return to myself and other people who may reply in here. Let's keep this friendly and informative, and let's get on to the story. So, again, I'm having to start this over. So Annabelle is just a Raggedy Ann type doll, and I remember Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy from when I was a child. I'm a baby boomer, but I actually grew up with the Gen X, and we had Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy, and somewhere down the line, I don't know, maybe it was the 90s when the Cabbage Patch Kids came in, but this was way before. It's like the 70s. So anyway, she sits in a glass case bearing a hand-carved inscription of the Lord's Prayer. I believe that's on the inside there. Right here is St. Michael's Prayer and a sign warning positively do not open. And of course a cross on the top. To anybody uninformed, it's just like a regular Raggedy Ann doll produced in the mid-20th century. But her first haunting in 1970 has been blamed for demonic possession, a slew of violent attacks, and at least two near unaliving experiences and one unaliving, fatal. In recent years, the stories of Annabelle has inspired a series of films. Now, the ones that's used in the film, that's plastic, synthetic, whatever, that's not the real Annabelle. That's just to represent, this is the real one right here. How much of it's real? So according to paranormal investigators, many things have happened over the last 30 years, including one fatal accident. The first of these infamous hauntings can be traced back to 1970, where Annabelle was given to a young nurse named Donna, who was about 28 years old, from her mother. And Donna lived, she was a nurse, she lived with another woman who was a nurse named Angie. So at first the doll was an accessory sitting on the living room sofa and greeting visitors. But for long, the two women began to notice that Annabelle seemed to move around the room. Donna would set her on the living room sofa before leaving for work and come home, and she'd find her sitting in the bedroom with the door shut and nobody had touched her. Then she started finding little scraps of paper on parchment that they didn't own in various rooms saying, "Help me, help me." Okay. Furthermore, Angie's boyfriend, known as Lou, was in the apartment one afternoon when Donna was out and heard a rustling in the room as if someone had broken in. He rushed in but didn't find any forced entry, but found Annabelle the doll laying face down on the ground. There's other stories to say that he was attacked from waking up. But anyway, he felt a searing pain on his chest and looked down to find bloody claw marks running across his chest. 2 days later, the claw marks had vanished without a trace. Well, they called in a medium who held a seance, and the women told the women that the doll was inhabited by a deceased 7-year-old named Annabelle Higgins, from which they got the name Annabelle, whose body had been found years earlier on the very site where the apartment building had been built. So she was killed, they built on top of it. Damn, I hope I don't get muted for that. She was unalived and the building was on top of that. But eventually they got a hold of an Episcopalian priest named Father Hegan, who contacted the renowned Ed and Lorraine Warren about what was going on. And Ed and Lorraine Warren came and investigated. They said spirits don't normally stay attached to dolls, but they're actually looking for a human to host them. But they noted that there were signs of possession, including teleportation, a doll moving of its own, materialization, those parchment paper notes saying "help me," and the mark of the beast clawed on Lou's chest. They ordered an exorcism to be performed by Father Cook, and they took apart the Annabelle out of the apartment. Well, after the exorcism, the Warrens buckled Annabelle into the back seat of the car and vowed not to take the highway in case something would happen, and thought that the back roads would be safer, but they weren't. On the way home, with Annabelle seatbelted in the back seat, Lorraine claimed that the brakes either stalled or failed several times, resulting in near disastrous crashes. Lorraine claimed that as soon as Ed pulled holy water from his bag and began dousing the doll with it, the problem with the brakes disappeared. Upon arriving home, Ed and Lorraine placed the doll in Ed's study, where the doll levitated and moved about the house. Even when placed in a locked office in an outer building, the doll would turn up later inside the house. And finally, they decided to lock her up for good. So the Warrens had a specially made glass case, which is this one right here, and they put her in there and inscribed the words, the Lord's Prayer, St. Michael's Prayer, and for the rest of his life, Ed would say periodic binding prayers over the case to ensure the sinister spirit and the doll remain good and trapped. And since being locked up, the doll has not moved again, although it is alleged that her spirit has found a way to reach out from the earthly plane. Alright, so I hope that you like this, and I've managed to keep this under 10 minutes. Actually, it's just like 6.5. So I hope you like this story. Be sure to check out my next ones of Robert the Doll and Akiku. They're shorter, so well within the 10 minutes. And I hope that certain words I use don't cause it to be muted, or I'm going to have to be redoing this again. Meanwhile, enjoy, investigate, and have fun.